just to rest and meditate upon the word that God gave us this morning. And at this juncture, I would love for us to now have a look at the newspapers, see what is being reported, and of course, our tears, our prayers are going towards Tanzania, because I see here some of the highlights. Tanzania's disputed election triggers deadly crackdown, killing hundreds, which is very, very unfortunate and sad. I also see other news here. Opposition leaders Natembeya and Halwale rally for Seth Panyako in Malava by-election, and also Lando Norris wins 2025 Sao Paulo Grand Prix for second straight Brazil victory. And now let's have a look at the Daily Nation. Those are just some of the stories that are trending this morning. And the first story here, abductions, how Museveni caved in. And I see more information on the same word from President Yoweri Museveni, saying here, we have very good intelligence. We know them. They have been with us. I have their names. They came and they were working with the Kiangulai's group. They are experts in chaos. And of course, this is with regards to the mounting pressure that has been there from the United States and the Kenyan government, direct family appeals and fears over the health of rights activist Bob Njagi and also Nicholas Oyo forced Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni to order their release from military detention. On Saturday, Mr. Museveni admitted that he had the duo arrested and detained, even as he bragged about the effectiveness of his country's security apparatus. This is quite interesting. Pages 2 and 3 is where this story has been covered, and I see them here. Of course, the pictures have been put there, and you can have a look at that story in more details. Boost school infrastructure, head teachers now demand. I see page 6 covering more than 15,000 primary school head teachers have converged in Mombasa for their annual conference, demanding urgent government action to address persistent infrastructure gaps and uneven teacher deployment ahead of the critical transition to senior school under the competency-based education CBE. A story covered on page 6. And I also see page 4. We were arrested in Tanzania simply for being Kenyan. So after spending 8 days in the cell at Oyster Bay Police Station in Dar es Salaam, 2 Kenyans who were released after the government intervention told the story of the torture they went through. Quite unfortunate. Our Kenyans are not safe. And that's why we need to keep praying for Tanzania, because it is also affecting those of our own citizens. And just continuing with some of the news also covered here on the Daily Nation. I see ignoring phone calls, amending a written list. Gachagua list instances he defied Ruto. So this is a story covered on the Daily Nation as well. And I also see things here being covered with regards to health. I'd rather hit the gym. What Kenyan men think about belly surgery. This is quite interesting because, you know, for the ladies, I mean, things have been trending online nowadays. You know, someone who was, you know, big-bodied, all of a sudden they're so tiny and you wonder what happened. I mean, there's so much pressure out here, guys. We really have to guard ourselves and be careful. And if at all we want to lose weight, then let's go the right way. The right way is better and is more sustainable. But let us look at the Standard. I'm seeing here Trinity of Terror. And of course, this is, you know, President Samia Suluhu, Yoweri Museveni, and also President William Ruto just being put there on the top page. And it says, when Uganda's Yoweri Museveni admitted that 2 Kenyans had been tortured while in his country's custody, he unwittingly fanned the flames of repression spreading across East Africa. Once seen as the region elder statesman, Museveni now speaks as the world still reels from the bloodshed that accompanied Tanzania's October 29th election that handed President Suluhu total victory and a new reputation for strong rule. In Kenya, the soil has barely settled over the graves of slain youth while others remain missing. East Africa is fast beginning to resemble the 1930s Europe of Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, and Ion Antonescu. A reason for us to keep praying, not just for this country of ours, but also for East Africa as as a whole, because it's quite unfortunate, because in fact these two individuals, Bob Njagi and Nicholas Oyo, I mean, it's been a while of them being sought after, and even the government of Uganda had said we don't know where they are and all that. Then all of a sudden the president comes out and mentioned that they have been in detention, and it was really a shocker for many, especially because the families have been crying, the families have been wondering what is happening. So I think it's a reason for us to really pray for East Africa as a whole, so that God will intervene. And I see President Yoweri Museveni, of course, a repeat of that quote here. The two Kenyans who were arrested, they have been with us. I'm not able to remember their names. They are working with Kiangulani's group, that they are experts in riots. Of course, with our very good intelligence, we picked them up, and they have been in the fridge for some days. Now some Kenyan leaders rang me and said I should hand them back or I put them in jail. This is interesting. A story that has been covered on the Standard newspaper and also the Daily Nation. And I also see here, quite unfortunate again, no regrets, President Ruto says, of the shoot the leg order. Quite unfortunate. That is where we are. And I also see pay up or pay. Why Mau-Rironi Highway toll-free options could be costlier. And also other news, I narrowly escaped death, Tanzania elections observer narrates ordeal. And then on the health and science pull-out today, postpartum hemorrhage, mother's pain after short joy, excessive bleeding after childbirth is the leading cause of maternal mortality globally. And in Kenya, 6,000 maternal deaths annually are linked to the complication. A story covered on pages 4 and also 5, so you can have a deeper dive into it. And we hope that such will not be witnessed anymore. And I also see here in the Business Daily, World Bank's new conditions freeze 96.9 billion Kenyan loan. And I also see here State Eyes 15-year bond for 390 billion shillings, SGR Malaba line. So more stories on the Business Daily. Dutch farms grants 8 billion shillings to cut water prices in the coast. And lastly, student loan default hit 380,530 as the HELB cash woes deepen. I see Carol Musyoka here, a quote on the intelligence pullout. As a founder, a family constitution could be the most enduring part of your legacy, ensuring your business is preserved and grown. How amazing is that? That even today, that is in fact what we are going to talk about. When I tell you walking in the spirit is something real, I mean it. In fact, let me just read this quote again. As a founder, a family constitution could be the most enduring part of your legacy, ensuring your business is preserved and grown. And today we are talking about succession of business. Oh, I'm so excited because I know this is what God wants. This now confirms. This is what God wants us to talk about today. And of course, we're going to be having that in the second hour, even as we get deeper into the financial fitness segment. So at this juncture, allow us to have a look at the video of the day. We'll come back and talk about it.